Winchester has a new lead councillor after a High Court ruling.
Well, in the present climate of public opinion, frankly, I think I must be mad.
Winol footage in documentary.
It's almost like Channel 4 is saying, well, if you're black, you're an immigrant as far as we're concerned. So for all those reasons, we just don't want them in Southampton.
Eastleigh's MP Mike Thornton discovers what life can be like for the blind.
It's really strange. It really is quite scary.
And in football, tempers flare in key promotion battle. Hello and welcome to Winchester News Online. I'm Amy Best. Veteran Conservative councillor Frank Pearson was elected leader of Winchester City Council this week following a row over a major development project. Henry Nixon was at the meeting.
So Councillor Pearson is now duly elected as the leader of the council.
First, why would I want to be leader? Well, in the present climate of public opinion, frankly, I think I must be mad.
The change followed an acrimonious dispute over changes to the Silverhill development in the city centre. Councillor Pearson was on the committee that the High Court ruled against last week.
Most of council are very aware I was on the planning committee that made that decision. Indeed, many people in the public gallery also know that.
Pearson beat Lib Dem councillor Kelsey Lerney, seen here, 26 votes to 24, and reinstated 2 portfolio holders from the previous cabinet. She said that the change in leadership won't be enough to restore confidence after this turbulent time.
I don't think we'll see any change at all. What we've seen within the Conservative group is a shuffling of the deck chairs, but there's no commitment to making any real change to the way the council's running, despite public demands for that to happen.
Attracting negative public attention isn't on the agenda for any local council, but a review of the Silverhill decision will be a large feature at the next meeting on March the 18th. Henry Nixon, Winchester News Online, Winchester.
The University of Winchester has accepted that there aren't enough houses in the city for its students. Our environment correspondent Holly Broughton has more.
The increased amount of students being accepted into the University of Winchester means that the need for off-campus housing is at its highest, and many are struggling to find a home for the next academic year.
It's a nightmare trying to find houses. We've been looking since November and we've found people that don't get back to us, or we've had so many cancellations because of houses getting let. It's just ridiculous.
Trying to balance a degree with trying to find a house is next to impossible. Housing is not quite really on top of our list because we're trying to balance our work really hard. Education comes first before the house, and if you're expecting both at the same time, you're asking for trouble and you're asking for a lot of dispute amongst students.
It's not just students that are being affected. Local estate agents are also feeling the pressure.
We're certainly seeing a lot of demand for good student housing at the moment. You know, the cycle for that seems to get a bit earlier every year, and students are rightly being more and more demanding about the quality of the places that they want to live in. And this year they've all been let approximately a month quicker than in years before.
In December, a university spokesman said it does not have any plans to increase the student intake in the short to medium term. The University of Winchester is currently helping many students find their future homes, but for now, the hunt continues. Holly Broughton, Winchester News Online, Winchester.
A new report reveals that criminal cases involving social media have increased. Campaigners have said that there is an urgent need for reforms in communication law. Our crime correspondent Brooke Perriam has the details.
Criminal convictions, charges and cautions involving social media have shot up, according to data revealed this week by civil liberties group Big Brother Watch. The data shows almost 360 people were charged for comments and messages made on social media sites between 2010 and 2013, but this figure might not reveal the whole picture. Last month, the group asked for data under the Freedom of Information Act from 42 police forces in England and Wales, but only 13 came back with figures relating to social media. the report found that between 2010 and 2013, the number of charges rose from 506 to 708. That is a 40% increase altogether. Hampshire Police refused to provide any information due to the cost and time involved in carrying out the request. Now, it has been confirmed by police chiefs that some forces don't always record whether specific social media sites are used, but the figures do come after the development and growing use of sites like Twitter and Facebook. This new information tells us that cybercrimes have increased, and because not all forces gave information, the public has real reason to believe that the figures might actually be much higher. Big Brother Watch says there needs to be a clear system put in place to educate prosecutors on how best to deal with social media crime.
After months of debate and in the face of fierce protests from locals, Channel 4's Immigration Street has finally been broadcast. Bracken Stockley, whose footage was used in the documentary, reports.
Last night, the controversial documentary Immigration Street was screened on primetime television using footage from Winchester News Online. The programme, which focused on Derby Road in Southampton, attracted furious criticism from residents who claimed they were unfairly portrayed by Channel 4. As part of the documentary, filmmakers used a Winol interview with MP John Denham in which he criticised Channel 4.
It's almost like Channel 4 is saying, well, if you're black, you're an immigrant as far as we're concerned. So for all those reasons, we just don't want them in Southampton.
Filmed and edited as part of my Winol report, the footage has now been watched by nearly 1.5 million people and is at the centre of a nationwide debate on immigration. Bracken Stockley, Winchester News Online.
Causing concern. New figures have revealed that tasers have been drawn against hundreds of children. Our reporter, Victoria Barclay, has the details.
This is what happens when police use tasers, here in a training exercise caught by Winol's cameras last year. Now a new report has revealed that tasers have been drawn against over 400 children. Data obtained by the BBC through the Freedom of Information Act shows tasers were fired by police in England and Wales around 40 times at children, the youngest only 11 years old. In Hampshire, for every 100,000 minors, 2 to 4 have had the stun guns aimed at them. In light of the figures, the former Home Secretary has called for police chiefs to take a step back to review the use of the weapon. Victoria Barclay, Winchester News Online.
Now to our politics team with the latest news in the South Decides.
The Green Party have launched their campaign for the coming election in May. Party leader Natalie Bennett and single MP Caroline Lucas face a large media crowd.
Can we maintain the green surge? I think very much so. We're still seeing people are joining at the rate of something like 150 a day. It's still very much growing and continuing. And I think as focus of the election comes, that we're going to see that perhaps start to grow again.
I think the fact that the Green Party is about hope and a positive future is incredibly attractive to many people who look at the grey parties, the establishment parties, and frankly don't see much difference between them and certainly don't see much hope in the future from them.
With things like the basic income or the citizens' income, although we've been challenged on it for the same number of people that have turned against it, there are so many people who realise that this is such a great opportunity to alleviate poverty.
The Green Party is insisting that all its policies are fully costed, but we'll have to wait for the manifesto to be released for the finer details. Laura Harding, Winchester News Online, London.
The Southampton general election campaign heated up this week with attention switching to the Labour Party. Deputy Party leader Harriet Harman visited over the weekend, followed on Monday by the party's spokesperson on the fire service, Lynn Brown. But Brown wanted the limelight to stay firmly on Labour's Southampton Itchen candidate Rowena Davis, seen here talking to us about government cuts to frontline services.
The fire service has come under an awful lot of pressure in the last few years because of public sector cuts. So many of them have faced changes to their pensions, which they're very worried about. It'd be disingenuous of me to say that if Labour comes in, there won't be any cuts, because everyone who is listening to this knows it's difficult right now and it's going to be difficult no matter what. But what I'm worried about with this government is they've delivered cuts with no leadership.
The election campaign may not have set the public imagination alight, but that's not for the want of national politicians trying to fan the flames.
Friendly political debating aside, with the general election on the horizon, the Winchester Liberal Democrats are working hard to win over the crucial student voters.
So for us it's about cheaper fares for students so that they can get to college cheaper when they're 17 and 18, right up to when they're 21. I mean, this constituency covers 2 districts, one run by Conservatives, one run by Liberal Democrats, and we're showing that the actual people are much more content with their lot in Eastleigh.
Sophie Hannam, Winchester News Online.
This is what we have seen over the past 4 weeks. Visits every few days from different Conservative ministers travelling down to get their moment in the spotlight. But this week, there has been little sign of any action from the party. Are the Conservatives running out of steam here in the south? This recent change in Tory tactic surely begs the question, where are the Tories and what will they do next in order to try and win votes here in the south? Ryan Hewlett, Winchester News Online, Portsmouth.
The Winchester poll is now a weekly sample of 128 people over the last 1 month. A clear picture is emerging after a fall 3 weeks ago. The Conservatives are now the most popular party on our university campus, but not by much. The 2 left-of-centre parties, Greens and Labour, are neck and neck, whereas Lib Dem and UKIP are performing poorly. Our poll does not show reactions to the political events of the week, but we are gathering substantial samples over time and will continue to do so until Election Day on May the 7th, by which we will have a reliable picture of student voting intentions. We only record preferences of people who will vote and have taken care not to ask the same person twice.
Firefighters in Hampshire are taking part in a nationwide strike today in a dispute over what they call unworkable changes to their pensions. Fire stations across the county fell silent as crews travelled to Westminster to take part in a mass rally. The government has criticised the strike, calling it unnecessary. All dogs will need to be microchipped by next year as a part of a crackdown on animal cruelty. Winchester vets are offering a free service in order to reduce the number of strays in the city. More than 125,000 dogs are picked up as strays each year, according to research. Hopes were high for a Hampshire filmmaker at the Oscars earlier this week. Daisy Jacobs was nominated for Best Animated Short, but lost to Disney's latest offering. Instead, she had to make do with a BAFTA for her film The Bigger Picture. A campaign has been launched by the Royal National Institute of Blind People seeking to improve street accessibility for the visually impaired. Olivia Martin has the details.
A third of blind people have been injured in the last 3 months just by walking around their local area. That's according to a recent survey conducted by the Royal National Institute for Blind People.
Navigating around a busy city centre may seem easy enough for those among us with clear vision, but for the blind and partially sighted, getting around safely and independently is a daily challenge.
The most common obstacle for the blind were cars parked on pavements. This caused 70% of obstructions. Bins, street furniture and advertising boards were also reported to cause problems.
What we've discovered that it's a real assault course for blind and partially sighted people when they're trying to navigate through their town centres. We've seen a lot of hazards from advertising boards, from chairs and tables, from pavement cafes, and also shops with their displays outside. It's a real interesting mix.
Eastleigh's MP Mike Thornton took the opportunity to experience the challenges faced by the visually impaired.
It really is quite scary. Right.
What we're going to do is going to go along to the...
I put them on and I thought, how am I going to manage? How can I do anything? How can I have a decent independent life with those on? Just in that few seconds, it all went through my brain.
Brian Anderson is visually impaired. A lack in indicators of pavement boundaries can mean he wanders out into the road.
I was completely unaware that there was no indication, no tactile indicator or anything to tell me that I was on the road. And I just found myself with a car coming up behind me. I was concentrating on using other senses. I was listening very carefully to what was going on, and I was trying to pay heed to what was happening under my feet. And I just became disorientated.
The current campaign by the RNIB seeks to improve street accessibility in the upcoming months. Olivia Martin, Winchester News Online.
Limpets are grabbing a new record. Annabelle Knowlson has the details.
There is shell shock this week after the discovery that limpet teeth are made up of the strongest material ever tested. Engineers from the University of Portsmouth made the discovery. Limpet teeth overtake the previous top material of spider silk for strength and are also stronger than Kevlar, used in bulletproof vests.
So I've been very interested in learning from nature, and this is something that I've studied for probably over 10 years. And nature is a wonderful source of inspiration for engineering. Nature builds things that have very interesting mechanical properties. But let's try and make man-made things stronger because of that information. It's fantastic. I think it's great that this is a success story. I think the future's bright in this field, and I hope as well the research can maybe motivate the next generation of engineers.
It's interesting. I'm not entirely surprised, because what they do is they eat the algae off the rocks, and they use their teeth to scrape the rocks to pull the algae off of the rocks. So their teeth have to be pretty strong, because they're basically munching down on rocks. But they could use it as a model, for example, if they know the crystalline structure and the structure of the teeth themselves. They could copy it, perhaps in the lab, and use it as a model to make really hard structures.
Well, it remains to be seen what this new discovery will mean for the scientific and engineering communities. It seems that limpets will be clinging on to their new record for some time to come. Annabelle Knowlson, Winchester News Online, Southampton.
Now over to Ross Perkins with the sports.
Thanks. Winchester City pulled off a superb result against second place Moneyfields by beating them 4-0 on Friday night. It was their fourth win in a row in all competitions, during a period in which they've scored 20 goals and are currently the Wessex Premier League top goal scorers with 93 goals in just 30 games. Isaac Edwards was at the Denplan City ground.
A bumper crowd of 462 watched high-flying Winchester City take on fellow promotion hopefuls Moneyfields FC. It was City who started brightly, tricky winger Adam Roberts twisting and turning in the box before laying off Warren Bentley. His deflected strike looked to be heading in for his 44th of the season, before it was cheekily stolen on the line. Liam Robertson claiming a real poacher's effort. Things took a sour turn with half an hour on the clock. Moneyfield's Connor Bailey flying into a vicious two-footed lunge on Winchester's Mickey Hubbard. A reckless challenge, rightly punished. The referee with no choice but to give the defender his marching orders. City made the most of their numerical advantage 3 minutes after the break. Lively wide man Roberts capitalising on a defensive slip-up. His shot was saved well, but Robinson was on hand yet again, pouncing on the rebound to bag his second goal of the game, putting Winchester in command. The third was scrappy. A desperate goalmouth scramble resulting in Winchester's Luke Dempsey crashing home from 6 yards. An impressive finish for a player not known for his goal-scoring exploits. Predictably, it was Warren Bentley who delivered the finishing blow, slotting home for his 44th of the season. A goal well worth staying up for some of Winchester City's younger fans. With 4 wins in 4, free-scoring Winchester look near unbeatable at present. Promotion remains a possibility. Isaac Edwards, Winchester News Online.
And finally, the University of Winchester held its annual Winton Weekend Sporting Festival, where former students returned to play matches against the current crop. Rachel Gunter has all the details.
Students at the University of Winchester have been showing off their sporting talents at the annual Winton Weekend. The 2-day event sees all of the university sports teams compete in student versus graduate matches. This is the 23rd year that Winton has been running, and it never fails to get the student support.
It's great that lots of people can come back and socialise with everyone can catch up and everything, and Winton's a great event.
Winton was set up in 1992 by the King Alfred's rugby team in memory of Steve Tomlinson, an ex-player and graduate who died of illness. What started off as an annual rugby match now involves many of the teams at university and has become the Winton we know it today. After 23 years, Winton is now one of the most popular events on campus, and it doesn't look like it's going to be leaving the calendar anytime soon. Rachel Gunter, Winchester News Online, Winchester.
And that's all from sports. Back to the studio.
Now over to features.
This week on W2 Magazine, our team have been up to London Fashion Weeks to get some footage of the event. Go to our site for plenty more from London Fashion Week. Lauren and Adija take a look at this weekend's Oscar red carpet fashion as they rate and slate.
Rubber gloves. Things that you would do the washing up with.
It probably wouldn't have looked so horrid if it wasn't like bright red.
And finally, get ready for our St Patrick's Day special on the 11th of March, which will be jam-packed with Irish fun. Go to the W2 website for more of our award-winning features.
For more award-winning news, sports and features, head over to winol.co.uk. Goodbye.